Have you ever wondered how the sport of boxing came into existence, what its origins are? If we trace the roots of boxing, we'll find ourselves transported back to the ancient civilizations of Egypt and Greece. In these ancient societies, boxing was more than just a sport. It was a form of combat, a test of strength and endurance. In ancient Egypt, around 3,000 years before the birth of Christ, hieroglyphs depict individuals engaging in hand-to-hand combat. Similar scenes are found in ancient Greece, where boxing was a popular event in the Olympic Games as early as 688 BC. Back then, fighters would wrap their hands and wrists in leather straps for protection. But the sport was far from the regulated matches we know today. These bouts were brutal, bare-knuckle affairs with no rounds, no weight classes, and few rules. Fast forward to the 17th century, and we find the first recorded boxing match in Britain. It was in the year 1681, under the watchful eye of the Duke of Albemarle. The contestants were his butler and his butcher. This event marked the beginning of boxing as a spectator sport, drawing crowds eager for the thrill of the fight. The evolution of boxing took a significant turn in the mid-18th century with the introduction of gloves. The use of gloves marked a shift from bare-knuckle fighting and brought boxing closer to the sport we know today. Jack Broughton, often referred to as the father of modern boxing, introduced these gloves, known as mufflers, to protect fighters from severe injuries. This step was instrumental in transforming boxing from a brutal and often deadly sport to a more strategic and skillful discipline. So from ancient civilizations to 17th century Britain, the seeds of boxing were being sown. The sport we know and love today has come a long way from its brutal origins, evolving into a disciplined contest of strength, skill, and strategy. Imagine a boxing match with no rules, no rounds, no weight classes. Sounds chaotic, doesn't it? Yet this was the reality of early boxing, a free-for-all brawl where only the strongest or the most ruthless emerged victorious. But as the sport grew in popularity, the need for structure and safety became apparent. Thus, in the year 1838, the London prize ring rules came into play. These rules introduced a semblance of order to the chaos. There was a designated fighting area, a 30-foot square ring. Fights were no longer to the death, but rather until one fighter could no longer continue. A round ended when a man was knocked down, and he had 30 seconds to rise and toe the mark in the ring center or face defeat. There were no weight classes, and fights could last for hours on end. It was a brutal, grueling test of endurance and willpower, but it was a step in the right direction. Fast forward to 1867, when the Marquess of Queensberry rules were established, named after the nobleman who endorsed them. These rules revolutionized the sport, introducing elements we now take for granted. For the first time, rounds were timed. 3 minutes of fighting with 1-minute rest periods. The introduction of gloves made the sport safer and added a new strategic element to the fight. Weight classes were introduced, ensuring fairer matches. A clear point system was established to decide the winner if a knockout didn't occur. Boxing became less a test of raw power and more a strategic, skillful game. It became a sport where the smart could outmaneuver the strong, where technique could triumph over brute force. These rules made the sport safer, more organized, and more appealing to a wider audience. And thus, the sport of boxing started to take the shape we know today. The evolution of boxing rules transformed it from a ruthless brawl into a respected sport, a testament to the human spirit's resilience, strategy, and sheer force of will. When did boxing transition from a street brawl to a professional sport? This critical shift began in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, a time when boxing started to step out of the shadows and into the limelight. Before this period, boxing was often viewed as a rough-and-tumble sport, devoid of structure and rules. But as the 19th century came to a close, a more organized and professional form of boxing began to emerge. This marked a significant shift in the sport's history, as boxing moved from being a disorganized street brawl to a regulated professional sport. At the heart of this transformation were key figures who helped shape and define this new era of professional boxing. One of them was Jack Johnson, who in 1908 became the first African-American world heavyweight boxing champion. Johnson's victory wasn't just a personal triumph, It was a watershed moment in the history of boxing and a significant event in the broader context of racial equality. Johnson's success challenged the racial prejudices of his time. His victory inside the ring was a powerful symbol of the potential for change outside it. Johnson's defiance of societal norms and his refusal to be subdued by the racial bias of his era made him an icon, not just in the boxing world, but also in the fight for racial equality. But it wasn't just about individual fighters. The birth of professional boxing also saw the establishment of governing bodies, like the National Boxing Association, which sought to regulate the sport and establish clear rules and guidelines. This professionalization helped to legitimize boxing and elevated it from a street sport to a globally recognized professional game. With these changes, boxing began to attract a wider audience, and the sport's popularity soared. It started to become a global phenomenon, transcending geographical boundaries and cultural divides. The ring became a stage where societal norms were challenged and barriers were broken. The face of boxing was changing, and it was becoming a global phenomenon. The birth of professional boxing marked a new chapter in the sport's history, one that would forever change its course. In which era would you place the golden age of boxing? There's no question. The period from the Roaring '20s to the fabulous '50s is often referred to as the golden age of boxing. This was a time when boxing was more than just a sport. It was a significant part of popular culture, a spectacle that gripped the world. During this era, boxing transcended the ring, becoming a major spectator sport with iconic figures that were household names. Among them, the legendary Joe Louis. Known as the Brown Bomber, Louis was the heavyweight champion of the world for an astounding 12 years, from 1937 to 1949. He was a symbol of hope during a time of racial segregation, breaking down barriers and becoming a hero to millions. And then there was the incomparable Sugar Ray Robinson, a man who epitomized the sweet science of boxing. Robinson's career spanned 3 decades, from the 30s to the 60s, and he was a master of his craft, with a record that boasted a staggering 173 victories. His finesse, speed, and power in the ring were a sight to behold, setting a standard that few could match. Let's not forget Rocky Marciano, the Brockton blockbuster. Undefeated in his professional career, Marciano held the heavyweight title from 1952 to 1956. His relentless style and knockout power were unmatched, and his legacy is still revered today. These icons of the ring not only entertained, but they inspired. They personified the grit, determination, and resilience that are at the heart of boxing. Their rivalries, their triumphs, their trials, and their tribulations all played out under the bright lights for the world to see. The golden age of boxing was a unique blend of sport, entertainment, and cultural significance. It was a time when legends were made and heroes were born. It was an era that captivated the public's imagination and left an indelible mark on the sport and popular culture. The golden age of boxing left an indelible mark on the sport and popular culture. What does modern boxing look like, and what's in store for the future? From the golden era of boxing, we've journeyed to the modern age, a timeline punctuated by names that have become nothing short of legendary. Muhammad Ali, a fighter not just in the ring but also in life, was known for his quick feet and even quicker wit. His charisma was as captivating as his punches, and his influence extended far beyond the ropes of the boxing ring. Then there was Mike Tyson, the youngest heavyweight champion in history, an embodiment of raw power and ferocity. His iron fists and indomitable spirit made him an unforgettable figure in the annals of boxing. In the modern era, Floyd Mayweather has held the torch high. Known for his defensive prowess and strategic brilliance, Mayweather has become a symbol of boxing's evolution, a testament to the sport's intricate blend of power and precision. But the story of modern boxing isn't just about these titans. It's also about the rise of women's boxing. Pioneers like Christy Martin and Layla Ali, daughter of the legendary Muhammad Ali, have brought women's boxing into the mainstream, proving that the ring knows no gender. Their fights are a powerful display of skill and determination, inspiring a new generation of female boxers. And as we look to the future, the landscape of boxing is set to evolve further with the rise of mixed martial arts, or MMA. The blend of various fighting styles in MMA presents a new challenge for traditional boxers, pushing them to diversify their skill set and adapt to this dynamic form of combat. As we watch these developments unfold, one thing remains certain. Boxing, in all its forms, continues to captivate us, drawing us in with its unique blend of skill, strength, and strategy. It's more than just a sport, it's a testament to the human spirit, the will to rise, to fight, to win. The sport of boxing continues to evolve, captivating audiences with its compelling blend of skill, strength, and strategy. Well, what is the cultural and societal impact of boxing? Now that's a question that packs a punch. To understand the profound impact of boxing, let's first take a look at popular culture. From the silver screen to the music industry, boxing has made its mark. It has inspired countless films, from the classic Rocky series to the critically acclaimed Raging Bull, Million Dollar Baby, and The Fighter. It's not just Hollywood either. Boxing has also influenced the music scene. Hip-hop artists, rock stars, and pop icons have all drawn inspiration from the ring, using boxing as a metaphor for resilience, struggle, and triumph in their lyrics. In the realm of fashion, boxing has also left an indelible impression. From the iconic boxing robe donned by Muhammad Ali to the modern-day athleisure trend inspired by boxing gear, the influence is undeniable. The sport has even found its way into literature, with numerous books and poems exploring the grit and glory of the boxing world. But it's not just about the glitz and glamour. Boxing has also played a significant role in social and political movements. During the civil rights movement in the United States, for example, figures like Muhammad Ali and Joe Louis were not only heavyweight champions but also champions of social justice. They used their fame and influence to challenge racial inequality, and in doing so, they became symbols of resistance and hope. Let's not forget the impact on local communities either. Boxing gyms have often served as safe havens in urban neighborhoods, providing young people with a positive outlet for their energy and ambitions. These gyms have nurtured countless champions, yes, but more importantly, they've helped shape responsible, resilient individuals. In essence, the impact of boxing extends far beyond the ring. It's woven into the fabric of our society, shaping our culture, influencing our politics, and touching our lives in profound ways. Boxing is more than just a sport, it's a cultural phenomenon with a far-reaching impact. So what have we learned about the history of boxing? Well, we started our journey with the origins of boxing, unearthing the primordial roots of the sport in ancient civilizations. This was a time when boxing was more than a sport, it was a ritual, a display of strength and valor. We saw how it evolved from bare-knuckle brawls in ancient Greece to becoming a part of the original Olympic Games. Then, we delved into the evolution of boxing rules. We explored how a sport once known for its brutality and lack of regulation transformed into a contest of skill and strategy. The introduction of the Marquess of Queensberry rules in the late 19th century marked a significant turning point, bringing gloves into the ring and establishing the framework for the modern sport we know today. Our journey continued with the birth of professional boxing, a time when the sport began to flourish under the bright lights of the public arena. We saw the emergence of legendary fighters whose names echo through the halls of boxing history. These trailblazers not only elevated the sport to new heights but also captivated audiences worldwide with their prowess and charisma. We then stepped into boxing's golden era, a time when the sport reigned supreme in the world of entertainment. We witnessed iconic moments that have become etched in our collective memory, from thrilling knockouts to historic upsets. Our exploration of modern boxing and beyond brought us face to face with the evolution of the sport in the 21st century. We saw how boxing continues to adapt, innovate, and captivate audiences, from the rise of women in boxing to the advent of new technologies and training methods. Finally, we examined the impact of boxing on society. We reflected on how the sport has transcended the ring to influence culture, politics, and social norms. Boxing is a testament to human spirit and resilience, a sport steeped in history and forever evolving. It's a dance, a fight, a game of strategy, and above all, an enduring symbol of our times.